Hi Golf Channel, my name's Steve Atherton and I hope to be your next golf instructor. I'm going to talk about the golf swing today. You know, there's an old saying, drive for show, putt for dough. Well, I can tell you that that's absolutely correct for tour level players. Elite players separate themselves by being really good with wedges and putters because they all hit the ball so well that they only have to putt and chip well to be a little bit better than the next guy. But I really think for a lot of the average golfers out there, hitting the ball better, keeping it in play, not hitting fat and thin shots, not losing golf balls from slicing them out of bounds would really help their enjoyment of the game and allow them to play a lot more rounds of golf. So we're going to talk about the swing. We're going to have a few key fundamentals that will really help you hit the ball better on the golf course and have more fun with golf. The first fundamental we're going to cover today is the length of the backswing. When you watch golf on TV and they show the slow motion sequences of tour player swings, you'll notice that almost all of them take that driver nearly to parallel to the ground, or even some of them go past parallel at the top of the swing. And that's really good for them, but you have to remember, those guys are very athletic and very flexible people. Most of you out there probably have lost some flexibility over the years. Maybe our belly's getting a little bigger and giving us some trouble. And what that's going to do is it's going to limit the range that your body's made to move. So what we need to do is shorten up that backswing a little bit so that we can deliver the club into impact correctly. So what I'd like to see you do is make a full shoulder turn. That's very important. We still need to turn fully, but we want to keep the arm position more out in front of your chest and a little bit wider so that the club stays short of parallel. That's going to be able to allow you to deliver the club into impact with the shaft leaning forward. And that's very important for good launch conditions. It's going to help you take spin off the ball, and it's really going to help you drive that golf ball farther and straighter. So the first key is shorter backswing. Don't reach back for parallel. You'll find that you'll end up collapsing the arms or over-rotating your lower body and putting yourself in a really bad position. Let's keep it nice and short at the top. We'll clean that up, and then we'll move into the next phase. Now that we've shortened up the swing and we've gotten ourselves into a position where we can swing down correctly, we have to learn how to make that downswing so that we can deliver the club on the right path and really straighten out that driver. This is one area where we've learned a lot about the swing at Golf Tech because we've measured the swings of over 150 tour players with motion measurement equipment. So we know how their bodies move into the golf ball, and we know what they're doing that helps them get on plane and swing the club so efficiently. The key thing to the downswing that most amateurs have trouble with is their right shoulder. As you swing down into impact, what most golfers do is they think that their shoulders rotate around their spine, going back and coming back down to the ball. Now, that is true for the backswing. Your shoulders work perfectly around your spine, and that keeps you from lifting or dipping your head. But as they come down, tour players much more aggressively tilt their shoulders to the right. And what that does for you is this. As you start your downswing, the right shoulder tilting or dropping to the right as you turn your body puts that club down on plane. And with most amateurs trying to rotate back around their spine, they end up pushing that right shoulder out. And that puts them in a really bad position where the club is off plane and it's going to cause pulls or slices. So what we have to do is we have to learn how to tilt your right shoulder as you start your downswing. That is a very key fundamental to hit the ball straight. We get to the top of the swing and the right shoulder works downward, which will put the club into a good hitting position. It's not your arms dropping or falling into the slot. It's the right shoulder putting the club into a good hitting position so that we can deliver the club from the inside. So we've got a new shorter backswing. Now we're learning to swing down correctly. We have to get the right shoulder down in order to deliver the club from the inside so that you can get rid of that slice and start to hit a nice little draw. Okay, so we're making great progress. We've shortened up that backswing, which put us in a much better position to be able to deliver the club into impact. We've also started to learn how to get that right shoulder into a good hitting position where we drop that club in, we get on plane, and we can deliver the club into the ball correctly. Now we've got to learn how to get through impact. The key issue we see with amateur golfers is that they don't rotate their hips very much. In fact, every amateur golfer that we've tested averages out to 23 degrees of hip turn at impact. What that means is, by the time they get to the ball, the average amateur has barely rotated their hips through the shot. And that does a few things. It makes you lose posture or stand up. So a lot of the amateurs that we see come into impact, their hips aren't turning, so what happens is the body starts to lift or raise. The hips come inward and we lose our spine angle. And when we do that, we tend to throw the golf club. So we get this big flip at impact, which adds a lot of backspin and kills your launch conditions. It'll kill your distance. So one of the key things we have to do, tour players rotate 45 degrees open to the target by the time they get to impact. So they do a much more efficient job of rotating their body through the shot. You'll see a lot of their left pocket as they get to impact. They're driving with the legs, and that allows them to really hit it hard with their body and not use their hands as much. So we're going to work on rotation through the shot. We've got to get our hips to clear, and that's going to help us drive it farther and straighter. In just a second, I'm going to give you a great tip to help you learn to rotate your body better through the ball and hopefully gain a few extra yards. All right, so one last time, we're going to recap the 3 key things that the average amateur golfer out there needs to improve to help drive it straighter, keep your ball in play, gain a few extra yards, and have a lot more fun playing golf. First thing is, we've got to shorten up the length of that backswing. We need to make a nice full shoulder turn, but we're going to keep the club out in front of our body, nice and short. Second thing is, as we start down, we have to learn how the right shoulder drops the club into a good hitting position. We don't want to let the arms fall, and we don't want our right shoulder to work out. We want it to work down more than it works out. The last thing is, we have to learn how to rotate our hips through the shot. So once we get to the top of that good backswing and we started to get that club to work on plane, we have to use our hips and our legs to drive through that shot. We've got to get some rotation in that body so that we can stay in posture and we can deliver the club correctly. If you can do those 3 things, I think you'll find you'll really enjoy your time on the golf course a lot more. What I've done is I've set up my golf bag so that at the address position, my rear end is just lightly sitting back against the bag. This is very important throughout the shot. We want to make sure that we maintain contact with the golf bag. We don't want to allow our hips to move inward, which is going to shove the upper body upward. So you can use your stand bag. You can even do this with a wall at home just to practice the movement. You just need to make this move a few times with your body so that it learns how to stay in posture. You don't have to hit a bunch of golf balls doing this. What you will do is we're going to do what's called the 3-step hip drill. First step, we're going to get set up against the bag, and we're simply going to learn what a good impact position should feel like. So all we're going to do is rotate the hips out towards the target. We're going to let the belt buckle turn to the target. We're going to allow the right heel to come up off the ground a little bit if you need to. That's perfectly fine if you've got to let this start to move off the ground to get the hip turn that you need. Step 2, simple little backswing just right in here, and we're going to move back to impact, making sure that our hips have rotated out towards the target by the time the club head gets back where the ball is. That's key because we have to make sure those hips are initiating the downswing. The last piece is step 3, which is just to hit the golf ball. So it's going to look like this. Get set up. Step 1, we turn to impact, we go back, we make a little backswing, we lead with the hips and we come back to impact, then we go back one more time and we hit the shot. If you can do that and maintain contact back here, you'll find that you'll turn better through your shots and make really solid contact.